Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we were watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How's it going, Steve?
Yeah, it's going... Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We said we were going to talk about the Marvels, but, we spared you any sort of pain and suffering of having to go through another Marvels thing, so... We will be talking about them, or at least I'll be talking about the Marvels, but our main topic is going to be David Fincher's The Killer, available on Netflix now. We have, at least I have a few things I want to talk about, but to start off, as always, do a roll.
Big money. 17?
Okay,
wow.
I can handle that. Yep.
Not bad, not bad. All right, here we go. Calling it now.
7.
I'm going to say 13.
Okay.
15.
15, okay, cool. Pretty good. All right. So that means best episode ever, I guess. But
it's up there.
It's one of the higher ones. Let me start with a little bit of weird news. Okay. We had mentioned it on our year-end wrap-up and, looking back, looking forward. And one of the movies that was going to be released was Coyote versus Acme. Did you hear about what happened?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, David Zaslav of Warner Brothers did his thing again, shelved another movie, refused to sell it to any other company or streaming service just for another tax write-off. So it's Coyote versus Acme, Batgirl, and then a Scoob sequel that was already made. Which I don't care about Scoob, but I was upset about Batgirl. And I wanted to see this. I thought this could be a fun courtroom drama, but with, a big corporation, faceless corporation versus this lowly inventor trying to, use the products for their intended purposes, but then constantly getting slightly murdered for it.
Yeah, and just for clarification, it's not like it was in production or about to be in production. It's finished.
Done. Yep.
And I saw that they're going to have a cast and crew screening just as like hey, you worked on it, you get to see it. It's like, shouldn't everybody?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so, fuck this guy. Ever since he took over HBO, it went all to shit. It's called Max now. They got rid of a bunch of stuff. Like, just deleted shit off the app that you can't even see anymore. So, fuck this guy. Second news thing, a live-action Zelda movie was announced.
Yeah.
And I'm very surprised that they decided live action. I figured they'd want to keep everything animation so you can do some of these bigger, crazier video game stuff. But no. And to keep it tied to the Mario Brothers movie, at least, potentially for a crossover. But a live action Zelda, I think it makes sense. It's their second biggest thing after Mario.
Sure.
So, but I don't know if it's going to work in live action.
From what I feel like the majority of people's reaction is, it's kind of like they're in the same boat of, well, we expected this to be animated. And especially with the success of Mario Brothers, you would think like, oh, well, we'll keep that in that universe.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love the Legend of Zelda franchise, and I like high fantasy, and I'm interested in a live action version, but do I have faith you can adapt it well? I find it hard to imagine.
Yeah.
And maybe I just don't have that imagination that they believe in.
Yeah.
It could work, but I think, like, how do you... Those games are so massive, and especially now, like Breath of the Wild and everything, it's so open world. Do you just do 3 movies that tell kind of one overarching story where it's just like, all right, the first movie is they got to beat this temple, and the second movie they got to finish this temple, and the third movie they finish the final temple, and then they fight Ganondorf.
No, I can see it being the first movie is the Nintendo Super Nintendo era, second movie is more of the N64 GameCube era, and then the third movie would be the Wii U, and Switch era, and you would just get...
What the hell are you talking about?
Well, I'm saying like in style and themes. And
you're talking about animated movies.
No, I'm saying like if it's a live action, you look at the Nintendo and Super Nintendo Legend of Zelda games and say, let's make a movie based somewhat around this. And then you look at some of the N64 and the GameCube ones, and well, what was Link's character like in these? And then you build the story around that, and then you have your next gen or your later gens for the third movie. You don't have to like do an exact one for one, and I don't think you should waste 3 movies on one game just because you want to
No,
cram every little bit
that's
of
not what I'm
thing
saying
in
at
it.
all.
You kind of look at its errors and what Zelda did. I mean, sorry, excuse me, what Link did and what was his abilities and what was the overarching themes and the goals. And since they were a little more basic, that's your first movie. Then you start expanding it, and then the next gen of games, you have bigger worlds and crazier adventures, so you could expand it even more. And same with the third one.
I just can't. The only way I really imagine this thing in live action is, no offense to like Japanese cinema, but it's not really. But like those,
Where are you going with this?
because they always make these really crappy like anime adaptations.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
kind of what I'm imagining it's going to look
Sure,
like. It's going to
sure.
look kind of cheap
Mm-hmm.
and kind like they're going to throw a bunch of money at it, but it's not going to be any good. I think there'll probably be some like cool effects, and it's like, oh wow, maybe they really included all these fun little Easter eggs, but it's just going to be like, hey, remember this from the game? Remember this from the game?
Oh, look,
And
it's
then
a chicken. Better not attack
and then the
it.
story's going to suffer. And then is it the first time we're really going to hear Link speak?
Yeah.
Going to be in live action, not a video game?
Yeah, why not?
Or is he not going to speak the entire movie?
No,
Is
he
that gonna
better
be
not.
weird?
He better fucking
Yeah.
not.
So whenever Chris Pratt becomes Link, I'll be super excited.
that was
He's
going to
so
be
cool.
one of my next things. Like, who do you cast for this? Like, you think of fresh faced young boys, and you got your Timothy.
I definitely don't.
You got your Timothy Chalamans and your Tom Hollands. They're getting too old for something like this. So your Jacob Tremblay, I guess, is next. But I think he's like 18, 19 now.
I think they'd go 18, 19,
Yeah.
20. So yeah, that works.
And the creator of this series, he's actually going to be involved in the making of the movie.
I'll say that. And,
I think it's a good thing and they're smart because they gave the Mario movie rights away a long time ago, and they made the disaster that is the Super Mario Brothers movie. I love it. I still like that movie, but it is definitely not a good adaptation of those games, and I can see them being very wary of doing that again and just being heavily involved. And this is a franchise that could be the next big thing. Let's not fuck it up right from the get go. So you put someone in charge who really knows that world.
I mean, I would love for it to be great, and I'm not gonna say it's gonna be bad off the jump, but I feel like we've been down this road before, and we see all these studios buying up these famous properties, like Amazon doing Gears of War and Rings of Power and other shit, and I don't know. I am cautiously optimistic, but mostly cautious.
Yeah. All right. So a bunch of trailers came out, and I'm not sure if you've seen them or not. So we're just gonna kind of rapid fire go through them real quick. The Ghostbusters trailer.
I did.
Yeah, I think it's fun. It's different.
It looks better than the last one.
Yes, it's back in the city, but doing the
You and I didn't love the last one.
no, we
so
did not. But
trailers can be deceiving.
just a simple thing of it's now snowy. That totally changes thing. You know, that's a classic thing of having a super hot summer. For I could isn't that a Stranger Things thing like that? Like one of the summers was really hot. Maybe I'm crazy, but it just feels like something different for Ghostbusters. Yeah, you're back in the city. Yeah, all the old cast is returning. They love them paychecks, and I don't blame them. But just having ghost and snow ghosts. That's the Asylum knockoff version, snow ghosts. But yeah, yeah. Airbender, the Last Airbender on Netflix had a trailer. I always heard that the creators left Netflix because Netflix kept wanting to whitewash everything again, and they just wanted to cast a bunch of honkies. And it looks like they actually got a little more accurate this time, and everybody looks great.
Yeah, I think the bar was set so low from the last one that you could really only go up.
True.
And so I think there's a lot of positives going into it. But while the trailer looked better, I still think some of the effects looked cheapish.
Sure.
And
but so did One Piece. The effects look pretty cheap, but it's pretty entertaining regardless.
Yeah. So I'll check it out, but I can't imagine how much different it'll be in terms of like, will it add anything to the Airbender
Sure.
legacy
Yeah.
by being live action,
Yeah.
or will it just be like, well, this is kind of neat.
Yeah.
The only thing I saw that they're definitely you're gonna see is the like final stand of the Airbenders when they get left out
Yeah.
of the temple. I was like, cool.
Cool.
I'd like to,
Something different.
yeah, I'd like to see that scene.
Yeah.
Do The Last of Us. It's like here's some more context as
Yeah.
opposed to just
Because
subtext
I
or
see so
whatever.
many pictures of like, oh, look at side by side comparison, the show and then the original show. Like, I don't need to see everything I've already seen
Yeah, show me
already.
different stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Give
but also,
me.
don't change what I like.
Yeah. Uh, I could really give or take. It's fine. We had an amazing cartoon, a really terrible movie, and then here's another adaptation. I don't really care.
Yeah,
Give me the next generation. After Korra dies, I want to know the next Avatar, the Earthbender
yeah,
who rules. Let's move up the timeline. What is that? I care more about that than revisiting any of the past stuff.
yeah. I agree. I could do without a live action adaptation and just go for a new story.
Yeah. And then we had Mean Girls remake trailer. I didn't even know this was going to be a thing.
So there's a Mean Girl musical. This is
Yeah.
an adaptation of that, not a remake of Mean Girls.
Sure.
I mean, I guess
Except
it's both.
everything looks exactly the same. And both Tim Meadows and Tina Fey are back in the same exact roles,
Hmm.
but they're still dealing with a Regina George and a Katie Herring?
Sure.
Whatever. So it's, I don't know, some weird alternate timeline, but why do we need this? This looks awful. Everybody looks like just Kirkland brand versions of everybody else. It
Well, I
just
don't think the trailer did a good job of making it known that it's a musical.
that's true.
I think the trailer, was like kind of hiding the fact that
Uh-huh.
it's a musical. Because I don't know if do teens think musicals are lame? I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. But that
Or
Hamilton.
yeah, or but when it said this isn't your mom's Mean Girls, I was like, holy
Holy shit.
shit!
Yeah.
Are we that old?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
Yeah. I saw that in theaters.
Because that was 2003.
Three?
I want to say so.
Yeah.
20 years
20
later.
years later.
Yeah, yeah. Those people are moms now.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Gross.
I mean, I like musicals. I've never seen the movie The Color Purple. I'd like to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just that. It's like here, if there's a popular thing, we'll turn it into a musical.
Like
That
Hairspray.
musical gets popular, we turn it into a movie.
Yeah.
It's just how the things go.
Hmm.
So
So what's next? Legally Blonde?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a Bring It On Broadway show.
Oh,
Maybe
really?
I could be wrong about that. I don't know.
Okay.
Point is that all the things you like are probably in musical form now, and those musicals will become movies. So the movie
Yeah.
that you like will be shown again, but now they're songs.
Hmm.
I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'm not writing enough. I like the movie. I like musicals. Maybe it's got some cool songs. I don't know any of them.
We'll see.
Yeah.
And last trailer, Inside Out 2. It's a little teaser. And I was kind of anti this because although I don't love Inside Out, I didn't think it needed a sequel. But then it makes a whole lot of sense. Of all the Pixar movies, this one probably should, because when you do have a character that's hitting puberty and they get a flood of all new emotions, okay, that's something to explore. So our new emotions, we got 4 new ones. We have introduced in the trailer was anxiety, and then we have embarrassment, envy, and ennui. We have 3 E's and an A. That doesn't mean anything, but one thing I found out, Bill Hader's not back, and neither is Mindy Kaling. I guess there was contract negotiation broke down, and so they left. So Tony Hale is taken over for
All right. Good
that,
cover.
and then I don't know the actress who's taken over for Mindy Kaling, but you can't really tell in the trailer.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. It's kind of messed up because Mindy Kaling gave them like the ending of the first Inside Out about how you could be happy and sad about something at the right time, and they went, oh wow, thank you, Mindy, you really kind of broke us through this wall we couldn't get through. Now we have an ending. And then they can't even pay her unless she's asking for like $1 billion or something. Just pay her the money. Do you give a shit about this?
I think I liked Inside Out more than you did. I agree that of all the Pixar movies, I think Toy Story made sense. Incredibles obviously makes sense,
Hmm.
and then this makes sense.
Yeah.
Everything
It's like
else,
you don't need a Wall-E sequel. You
don't
don't
know.
need a Ratatouille
No,
sequel.
don't need. You don't need any of the fucking car sequels. Don't even need the original cars, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see them go. Here's Riley when she's whatever the first, however old she was in the first one, 10 or
Yeah.
whatever. Here's her at 14, and then here's her at 18, coming into adulthood, and like what that means.
Hmm.
It's like
Oh, are they going to have horniness as like one of the emotions?
gross. I'm just saying, like, what a fun thing for you to be a kid when Inside Out comes out, and then kind of as you grow older, here's Riley's journey that
Hmm.
mimics your journey. That can be a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Um, but at the same time, did I care if Inside Out 2 was coming out?
Yeah.
Not really. Um, Once again, I think I'll watch it for this podcast. Uh, but yeah, it's fine. And all the trailers that came out, I'm just like, it's fine. Other than the Apes trailer, I'll go
Yeah.
see the Apes
Yeah,
movie.
for sure, for sure.
Everything else, I'm like, yeah, this makes sense why they would do it,
Yeah.
but I don't care.
All right, so let's get into some of our stuff.
Some of your
I
stuff.
got more than you. So Loki season 2 came to an end, and as I said before, they are really good at their first episodes, and they always kind of beef it on their last episodes. This is not the case. This
Hmm.
final episode is great. It's probably my favorite episode of this season. And you don't give a shit, right?
No, you can spoil everything for
So
me.
they do a fun thing. They gotta get a thing and get a guy to a place so they can fix the loom that is filtering all these extra multiverses. It's too small. They gotta expand it and make it bigger. And they try to go do it. And what's his name? Kang, or in this he's Victor Timely. He dies instantly, and they're like, oh crap, how do we fix this? And so Loki gets a hold of his time slipping ability and he's able to control it. And so he goes back like 10 minutes earlier. Okay, let's try it again. Fails again. Okay, let's go. And he's doing it over and over, trying to speed up the process. It's still not working. And then he goes and talks to Ouroboros. He is like, how long will it take you to teach me everything about like quantum mechanics? And it's like, oh, centuries. Cut to black, title card, centuries later. He just keeps going back in time in this short window to try to learn everything he possibly can. And now we're on like the final one. He's just spent so much time replaying this over and over. It finally works and they're happy, but then it doesn't work and it breaks down. So now he has to go even further back to the finale of the first season and try to stop Sylvie from killing Kang. And Kang is aware of this, like, yeah, this is all part of my plan as well. How many times have we had this conversation? And now his thing is like, you could let her kill me, or you have to kill her, and here's your decisions. And by the time it's all over, Loki kind of just takes control over the multiverse, and he keeps it under control. It's now completely branching. There's no pruning or anything like that. It could go as wild as he wants, but he's now in solitude, making sure it's all working. And so Loki is just kind of, for all we know, this could be the last we ever see of him. He's just done, and he's just this god controlling the multiverse. It's pretty great. It's really fun. I like the going back in time over and over and over again. It's done really well, and Tom Hiddleston just kills it this season. He's so good. Everybody else is just fine. Owen Wilson's still really likable. Sylvie gets kind of pushed to the background, which is a shame. But the worst person is Jonathan Majors as Victor Timely. His accent and his little stutter he does, it's like he's on a bad stage play and he's trying to play to the people in the back. He has to be as big and as loud as he can, but still meek and stumbling over everything. He's awful. He's really bad. But then when he gets to play Kang as He Who Remains, he's great. He's really good jumping back into that role. It felt a little over the top in season one,
Mhm.
but it actually works a lot. But his Victor Timely shit is fucking terrible. It's really bad.
So, Jonathan Majors is in every episode, or
Most,
most of them? Oh, okay.
I think maybe not the first two, maybe, but then
Okay.
the last four. Yeah.
So, the like end tag of season one, where they're like, "Hey, that's him," and you see it's the Victor
Mm-hmm.
time. So that's a
That
teaser for episode 3.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Weird.
Yeah, they're trying to find him, and well, actually, they're trying to find Ravonna, and they come across, and Loki just like, oh shit, Mobius, that's the dude. And the whole thing is, he created the TVA. He learned a bunch. He wrote the manual. And then started the TVA. Ouroboros started working for him, expanded on the manual, and then He Who Remains sends it back in time to his childhood self and then learns everything from it. So it's like these two people have taught each other about the TVA, but also have learned from each other in this like infinite time loop. Um, it's pretty great. It's a really fun season.
Such a nerd thing.
I highly recommend. It's one of the better things of Phase 4. A pretty messy phase, I'd say, so far.
I think a lot of people would say.
But truly thinking about it, there's a lot of good in season 4. There's just small things that are bad. What did I say?
You said
Season 4?
4.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah,
like Spider-Man was really good. Doctor Strange, I grew to like it. I don't mind Black Widow. I liked Hawkeye. There was a lot. WandaVision was great. There's just a lot of good stuff as well. And when you pick and you look at the few little things, it's like, oh, this is why it's bad. Well, it's unfocused. This is the most unfocused phase out of all of them, and hopefully they could dig their way out. But it's definitely the weakest of the phases, but I don't think it's all that bad.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I've complained about a lot of the Phase 4 stuff, I wouldn't say any of it was bad. It's all fun enough and watchable, except for Thor.
Thor and What If.
and What If Party Thor. Those are atrocious, but at the same time, it feels like it's just been so much, and it's all been just fine that I've just I was looking forward to season 2 of Loki, and I feel like I've suffered so much. I was like, why do I care? It's gonna be one shiny gem maybe in a sea of mediocrity. I don't, and by it's better mediocrity than maybe we deserve or whatever. But I just soured out on the whole Marvel stuff, and I'll see Deadpool, and if Blade ever fucking comes out, I'll check that out.
Yeah, but Deadpool got pushed to Captain America 4's spot.
Yeah.
Captain America got pushed even further, so it's 2025 for that. Blade got pushed again. Blade's never happening. Not gonna. There's only one Marvel thing, one Marvel movie coming out next year, and it's Deadpool.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I think that'll be a good thing.
Yeah, sure. It's just it has been a glut, and it hasn't been overwhelmingly positive. Everybody likes Spider-Man for the most part. Everybody liked Infinity War. And then you have so much more split of people. Oh, I love She-Hulk. I fucking hate She-Hulk. I love Moon Knight. I hate Moon Knight. There's no overwhelming consensus with Phase 4. And so when people go like, oh, it's comic book fatigue and stuff, like, no, it's not. It's not truly fatigue. It's just sick of seeing the corporate-y side of stuff affect everything. Like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it was supposed to be a pandemic. They had to scrap all that and reshoot a bunch and retool everything to do the Flag Smashers, and it didn't really work out all that well. Secret Invasion, they didn't even have a showrunner. Everybody who wrote a script didn't seem to talk about the previous episode with the writer, and they just did their own thing. It was just all over the place. It was just the Wild West, and it was greenlighting anything and just make it happen. So hopefully they are aware of that now and they're refocusing things.
I mean, if they can redo Star Wars, and everyone quote unquote hated the prequels, but now everyone loves the prequels. They're cool again. Yeah. It's like there's no reason you can't do that for Marvel shit. Yeah. I mean, the difference is there's always big chunks of time in between Star Wars projects versus like Marvel never ends. That's kind of the point. So I don't know. We'll see. We talk about Marvel too much.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's move on. Quickly, I played Aliens Fireteam Elite. It was one of the free games this
I
month.
had a feeling you'd download this
I
game.
was so excited because I thought about picking this game up when I got my PS5 because I'm coming home with one game. It's fun coming home with two games and you got options. But I didn't, and thank God, because if I would have bought that game and then it was free a month later, I would have shit myself. So
That's first world problems. This thing I could have afforded, but now I could have gotten for free.
yeah,
I could die. Anyway.
it's pretty fun. I haven't played much of it.
Mhm.
My problem is it is an online multiplayer thing,
Yeah, that's the only reason I didn't jump at it, because it looked like one.
but you don't have to.
Okay.
You can play by yourself and you have two NPCs helping you. But my first match, it was just like, all right, Marine, you ready to go? And it sends me into the mission. Like, there's not a tutorial. I don't know how any of my buttons work. So my teammates are running off, killing things, and I'm just like walking around, testing all my stuff. And it took me a minute to really figure it all out. And when you pause it and you look at your like loadout screen and your ranking, it looks like a whole lot, but it really isn't. I only did a couple of matches. It's pretty fun, but it does feel like, all right, we got a bunch of variants of aliens. Just keep throwing wave after wave, and then okay, you shoot, shoot, shoot. You run out of ammo, go find and refill your ammo. Set up a turret here. Uh, it doesn't feel all that involved story wise. It's just, hey, we got to get this scientist. And obviously, I'm still really early, so
Sure.
I don't know if it gets better. But I'm excited to keep playing.
Last year, I think it was last year when the Predator game came out.
Yeah,
I know you and I both downloaded that.
Ugh.
It's far superior to the Predator game.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
I
because you actually just feel like a Marine and you're shooting aliens, and they're coming out of the walls and the vents, and you got your little reader.
Because I played like one game of the Predator thing, and I was like, "This is trash.
This is trash. Absolute trash." Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I don't know if I'll finish it. I don't know if there is a finish or if it's just mission after mission and they just recycle the same shit. But I don't know. I'll let you know. So I saw a new release. It's called "It's a Wonderful Knife," a horror parody comedy based off of "It's a Wonderful Life," where
Clarence, I want to die again.
so there's a small town shitty contractor dude played by Justin Long.
Justin Long's in this?
Yeah,
Nice.
and Joel McHale, your favorite. Yeah.
Sweet.
And Justin Long, what a treasure. He's just good in everything.
Yeah.
He rarely puts in a bad performance, and he has like these fake teeth in, and he's kind of doing a Donald Trump-ish thing. So he's just coming off like a real scumbag. It's really funny. But he wants to build on this land, but this old man is not willing to sell his house. So he dons this outfit and he starts killing people. He kills the grandpa, he kills his heir, and then our main girl stops him and kills him. And it's revealed, oh, it's Justin Long. Year later, she's sad, her friend died, and everybody seems to have like moved on from this, and everybody's kind of shittier for it. And so she looks at the Aurora Borealis and is like, oh, I wish I was never born. So then now the town is, if she was never born, that rampage that he killed all those people, and even her brother died, her aunt's girlfriend died, and nobody remembers her. Her parents are all sad, and one's a drunk now because their only child died, and she's trying to, fix it because now everyone's on drugs. The killer is striking like once a week. It's like been a year and he's killed 27 people and no one's doing anything about it. Just like, that's the cost of living here. And that even turns out it's Joel McHale is doing it now this time because they're killing all the people who own businesses and then taking the land. It doesn't understand It's a Wonderful Life all that well. The script feels like rough draft. This is the first draft we did, and they said, fuck it, we got to get in production because we want it out before Christmas this year. It's called It's a Wonderful Knife. You would think the knife has something to do with it because you're saying it's wonderful. It's got a curse on it or something. No, there's nothing special about it. It's ornate looking, but it has nothing to do with why she got this wish granted or why he becomes a killer. It's just someone thought of the name and said, let's do it. Wrote it in a day, and they said, let's greenlight it. This seems pretty cheap. It's pretty shitty. It's not very good. I give it a C minus. Or did I give it a? Did I give it a? I don't know. Yeah, it's just not very good. It was fun to make fun of. There was only like two other people in our theater, so we were able to talk through the whole thing, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense at times. It's just real stupid.
So does she get back? She realizes she wants to be alive or
Yeah,
whatever, goes back and is able to defeat the.
yeah. I mean, like she goes back and she doesn't go back to when the killer was killed. She goes back to when she left a year
Mhm.
after that killing, and everybody's nice again. And uh, it's so weird because like she goes back to the world that she was pissed off at because her parents were acting shitty, and it's like, oh, I went back to my good timeline, but that timeline was also kind of bad. It wasn't everybody in town is addicted to drugs bad,
Yeah.
but it's still shitty parents bad. But yeah, I don't recommend it. Oh, and everyone's a really bad actor. It feels in the beginning everything's a little too cutesy and sweet, like
Mhm.
it's like a Hallmark movie. They're not believable siblings or believable parents. The only really good part is Justin Long. He's pretty great in it.
Sweet.
Yeah. It's a movie I kind of wish you saw, and we could go back and forth because you would have torn into this thing.
Well, I imagine it'll probably be on some streaming service by Christmas time.
Well, it's a Shudder movie, so it will probably be on Shudder.
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe I'll, check it out and then talk about it closer to Christmas.
Sure. So you got nothing, huh? Yeah, because I still got two more things before our main topic.
Let me see if I wrote anything in my notes. I don't think I did. Notes. Let's see. Nope.
Okay.
It's been a busy week.
So I'll talk about the Marvels right before, because it is kind of like a main topic, but
Yeah.
I'll be quick about that. But this is the important thing I wanted to talk about. This is the thing I've been waiting all week to talk about.
Oh, sweet.
I watched Scavengers Reign on HBO Max.
Okay.
This was a thing we saw years ago. I had
Yeah.
a little 10-minute short, and it was pretty much like Ripley and Dallas from Alien. At least their character models look like it. Go to this alien planet, and everything's super kooky. And you take this animal and you rub it on this animal, and it poops out an egg. And you take the egg and you crack it on a leaf, and you sprinkle on a flower, and then that glows, and then it calls a bird, and the bird comes, and then it lays an egg, and then it's always this chain of crazy things just to get to something at the
Yeah,
end.
it's a Rube Goldberg machine
Yeah.
of alien creatures.
Yeah. So they were able to make a show based off of it, and it's the best thing I've seen this year.
Oh.
It is amazing. It is so creative. It boggles my mind when you watch any other sort of sci-fi thing. There's always, oh, that's the horse analog, and that's the fish, and that's the cat, and that's the dog. They just added a crazy fin, gave it fur instead of feathers, or put a tentacle for a tail. It's very obvious that they
Yeah.
just changed minor things because us dummies, can't
Fathom.
comprehend.
Yeah.
This is true crazy evolution on an alien planet. These things are so bizarre. I mean, some of them just look like alphabet cereal, like just crawling along the ground. It's like a little crab that turns into a rock, and like, sure, they have like, this is a fishy looking thing, this is a monkey looking thing, but they have other things that are so bizarre, like these whale jellyfish things. There's a storm coming, and the two of the humans they're trying to find shelter because it's sending these little bits of rock like bullets, and these big upside down jellyfish have long trunks and they're sucking their eggs off the beach, so they crawl into it so they can be in this airtight container floating in the water while the storm passes, and then bugs come and crawl down into it to eat the eggs. Just really out there stuff. So the basic premise is there's a ship called the Demeter. Something happens, and everybody has to evacuate in the escape pods. And we come across four of our main people. So it's Sam and Ursula. They are relatively close to each other. Sam's the captain of the ship. Ursula she deals with plants on the ship. And they are trying to call the part of the ship that isn't damaged, call it down manually so they can get off this planet. It's been a couple of months now. And then we meet
So,
Ozzy.
sorry.
Yeah, no.
Is there dialogue? Because in the
Yeah.
short, there was zero.
Yeah, there is
So
dialogue.
people actually talk.
100%. There's actual stories for
Okay.
this. It is 12. It's 12 episodes, and these are developed characters with backstories and everything. Then we have a character of Ozzy. She is stuck with like this robot. Oh, I can't remember what it was called. It's like they're called Lesters or something like that. And a fungus has gotten into it and is kind of taking over the robot, but not in a malicious way, in a like a higher learning way. And it invades so much of it, it can feel. It's learning what the sensation of touch is, and it's starting to kind of be obsessed with nature and is creating its own garden and just being more than a robot. And
Right.
she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're not supposed to feel anything. You're a goddamn machine. And then we meet Cayman. His pod gets stuck in a tree and he can't get the door open, and he's just stuck in it for months. He has only like a little crack in it where he can stick his arm out, and he's using like a little pocket knife to try to cut a branch to hopefully let the thing fall, but the branch is like 3 feet around. There's nothing he can do. But his story is really interesting. So there's these creatures on it that imagine like a frog hippo body with a cow print, and its head looks like an old-timey baby doll mixed with a gray alien.
Okay.
It climbs around the trees, and it will go up to these little bugs, and it uses psychic powers to make it go get food and bring it back to him. So then it finds Cayman up in the tree and uses its psychic powers to like rip the door off, and Cayman's like, finally freedom, and just jumps to his death. He just wants to die. But of course this thing stops him, gets into his brain, and realizes, I can use this to help me get food instead of smaller creatures. And so in his mind, he's making Cayman believe that this little alien creature is his wife or girlfriend who was up on the ship, or last he saw, and using his memories about her to manipulate him to do other things for him, and getting bigger and bigger prey. And so the alien's getting bigger and bigger. Wild, really interesting stuff. And the thing, I love the animation because it's so simplistic but highly, highly detailed without being flashy. Just, they're so good of doing small motions with eyes, or like someone, they're about to start running and they do a little hop before they run, and it feels like you're missing a couple frames, but you're getting all the information you need. It's just, it's hard to describe, to say it's highly detailed and very plain at the same time.
All the episodes out. It's done.
It's all done.
Okay.
Yeah, they were.
Don't give me any like full major spoilers.
Sure. Yeah. They were releasing them 3 at a time. So when I was watching, there was only 9. And I'm like, oh, I gotta slow down. I gotta pace this out. And then the next day I came, and the last 3 were released. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go.
Nice.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. I cannot recommend it more. It will be definitely top 10 TV show, probably top 1 television show I've seen this year.
Are the 2 leads, are they anyone we know, or?
So, well, there's like 4 leads, really.
Okay.
But some voices in it. She was in Loki, and she was also in Lovecraft Country.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I know who.
She plays Ozzy, the one that's with the robot.
Got it.
There is the robot is Aaliyah Shawkat.
Cool.
There's a woman from Walking Dead. That's the best thing I know her from. She was the junkyard lady. She was dealing with Rick and stuff. She had a dumb fucking haircut.
Yeah, seems very familiar.
She's in it. Dude from the Vacation reboot and Righteous Gemstones. You know, that kid.
Yes.
Yeah, he's in it. So it's like,
Got it.
So
Okay.
there's some names.
You're so bad with names, but
I don't know any of these people's names.
still figured
You
it out.
look it up on IMDb and you go, oh yeah, I knew that name. You don't know these people by name. You know them from what they've been in.
I mean, I would have known Aaliyah Shawkat, like you did.
Yes, yeah. But I said that name.
You did.
Yeah.
I'll give you credit for that one. But yes, I wouldn't have known their names, but you got me there. Touche.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because there's some crazy things happen in it and some amazing creatures.
I knew it was something I wanted to watch, but it was one of those things where I was like, I'll get to it when I get to it. So hearing that makes me a little bit more inclined to check it out.
100% watch
So,
it.
all right.
I'm telling everyone, people at work who I barely talk to, I'm telling them to watch it. I want more eyeballs on it because there's nothing on HBO right now. It's a bunch of shit. Like you bring it up, they're advertising 30 coins, which does look interesting. It's a Spanish language
Yeah.
show with Paul Giamatti.
Wait, Paul Giamatti's at 30 coins?
Yeah, yeah,
Weird. All
yeah.
right.
And it's like that, and there's another like period piece bullshit that they don't have anything until House of the Dragon comes back
Right.
or Last of Us, and that's early 2025 probably.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know why they're not promoting this. Like, I know it's animated, and some people write off cartoons just because they are cartoons, but I don't know. You get enough critics on it. You get the internet community talking about it. This could have been something big for them.
Well, maybe once word of mouth buzz starts going around,
Here's
uh,
hoping.
here's hoping.
Yeah,
So if you're listening to this, check out
check out Scavengers Reign.
Scavengers Reign. All
Yeah,
right.
REIGN, not RAIN.
Got it. Last one.
Last one before the main one. The Marvels.
The Marvel.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Captain Marvel, the movie. I didn't mind her in Game and Infinity War. I mean, she's not in it very much, but she's fine.
Yeah. I liked Captain Marvel more than most, I think.
Well,
Not
I
like
like more than the neckbeards who hated it because she's an outspoken woman and they don't like that.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'd put it like at the bottom or I don't know
No,
where I don't know where I would put it in terms of like all 25 movies or whatever we're up to
it'd
now.
probably be a
But I just
D
remember
tier.
watching it and going like, I don't see
Yeah,
why everyone was so mad about
it's
it.
fine.
Yeah, it was
But
fine.
after seeing that and going, oh, where are we going to take this character? Or what are we going to do with the scrolls? That's pretty interesting. And then getting Secret Invasion, and they just like shit the bed on that. And then here comes this new movie. And I know you don't do it with Marvel movies. You don't watch Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 and expect them all to like be connected to each other.
Mhm.
There's information you are missing in between. From 2 to 3, like Tony has like PTSD because of what happens in the Avengers. But if you've never seen the Avengers, you're like, what the fuck? What are they talking about?
Yeah.
And this one uh, doesn't have much of a connection to each other. I mean, it does. There's still a scroll thing. There's still Kree stuff, but it seems like the connecting thing that happened in between these events, that's Captain Marvel 2, not this.
Mm.
This movie is so cut up, re-edited, reshot, rewritten, where two characters are having a conversation and it almost seems like they're on the verge of tears, and then in the next scene, everything's fine. It's like they just had to piece together what they had and send it out into the world. It's not very good.
Wow, I thought you were good. I thought just because of so much of the like this movie's garbage talk I've heard, I just assumed you were gonna go like, you know what? It's actually okay.
And I've seen a lot of people saying, no, this is actually good. This is better than Wakanda Forever. This is Miss Marvel. Iman Vellani, is that her name?
Sure.
Young Miss Marvel from her own show. She's great. She carries this whole movie. She's putting in 110%. She's selling it. Everybody else is kind of asleep. Like Samuel Jackson, he's trying, but he's kind of an old man. You could tell it's wearing on him. He's not all that great in this. Photon, Monica Rambeau, she's not very good in this. And then Captain Marvel, she's asleep. You can tell she's like, I'm over this Marvel shit. Get me the fuck out of this franchise. She does not
Give me room
care.
too.
Yes. How did I get in this room again? Yeah, but Miss Marvel, even though some of the jokes she does aren't very funny, she's charming and endearing enough to make you like kind of forgive the joke and laugh with her. The main plot is, ooh, Captain Marvel, because of you, everything on our planet went to shit. Our sun is dying. We have no water in our ocean, and our air is polluted. I guess because like the military industrial complex like sapped the Earth of all the materials to fight Captain Marvel. I think. I don't know how the sun dying has anything to do with that, but they're blaming her for their planet dying. If it was just a natural thing and what? I keep saying Captain America and Captain Marvel just kind of refused to help them. Like, you guys fucked up. I'm not helping you. Like, oh, you go help those savage scroll people, but you can't even help us. Okay, now we're coming after you again. Maybe that's a better idea. I don't know. So our new bad guy, name I don't know. They say it a bunch of times, but it's so unmemorable. It's like she's just the Inquisitor. Right? Is that what Ronan was? Ronan the Inquisitor? Yeah, she's just the new Inquisitor, and she's going to like this one planet to steal their atmosphere, and then goes to this water planet that's they said like 99.97% covered in water. There's like a little bit of land, and there is people who live there. And Captain Marvel had to marry the prince just as like a peace agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And all these people, they can't speak, they only sing. So if you just talk in front of them, they have no idea what you're talking about. But if you put a little tune, and they'll know it, and that's pretty fun. That's pretty clever.
I like that idea.
But you're not there very long.
Now are they like fish people?
No, they're just humans with silly outfits on.
Humans with silly outfits who live on a 99.9 or 0.7.
But they live on the land part. They don't live in the ocean.
Huh.
Yeah. So then it's like, oh no, evil bad lady, she's coming to steal our water. Okay, your planet's 99.97% water. You could spare some for the planet that has absolutely none. If there was a peace talk, maybe it could work. Maybe you could have found an atmosphere from a planet that wasn't inhabited, because that's where the Skrulls ended up. They're like, oh, finally we found a home that we could, call our own. And they show up. And they try to have peace agreements, and Captain Marvel comes in, and they're like, oh, you called Captain Marvel? Well, fuck you, we're killing you all. And the Skrulls are just like, again, we're homeless again, we can't go anywhere. Fuck you, Captain Marvel, get the fuck out of our lives. And then the very end is like, well, we're gonna steal your sun, because since our sun is dying. But like, when suns die, they don't dim. They get brighter and explode and turn into black holes. This is like, it's like a dying candle. Like, it's just gonna puff into nothing. And then of course they solve that problem with like, well, Captain Marvel, you're like really powerful. Just go turn their sun on. And he's like, oh yeah, I could do that. And goes and just turns their sun back on with her cosmic powers.
So does she go into like the center of the sun?
Yep. And just goes like, whoa, and then powers it back on.
Damn, that bitch is powerful.
Yeah. I don't know.
How does she lose any fight?
Any fight, yep.
Ever.
So the main like goofy thing, as you've seen in the trailers, are every time they use their powers, they swap with each other. And it was really inconsistent. You're seeing them just using their powers like nothing, and then switches when it makes something funny happen. Like, oh, I was about to punch him, and then I swapped, and then I punched your mom. Oops, silly. That didn't actually happen, but pretty similar. And they're not super clear. I thought it was anytime they use their powers, they would just randomly switch with another one. They have to be using their powers at the same time. Then you'll switch. So it's like, okay, that's a thing, I guess. But it just seems like this movie had nothing for a story. They knew they wanted to put these characters together, but they didn't know what else to do. And like, I don't know, they switch places when they use powers. Okay, that will make for some interesting action moments, but it doesn't add anything to the story at all. It's so pointless. Let's see. I do like her suit in it. It's kind of ugly because it got the big yellow thing, Captain Marvel's, but it's really dark. It reminds me of Superman's outfit in Superman not Returns, Man of Steel. Yeah. Just the dark red. And then, Miss Marvel is like really bright and cheery looking, and then Photon looks like, I don't know, a symbiote Spider-Man alternate suit. Okay. Like if Agent Anti-Venom, that's kind of what it looks like. And her powers are so ill-defined. From the trailer, it's like, oh, I can see light, but she can fly, she can shoot lasers, she can like phase through things. It's kind of just like whatever we need at the moment. And then there's a running joke through the whole thing, like, let's give you a name too. Like, I'm Captain Marvel, she's Miss Marvel, you can be General Marvel or Scientist Marvel. And they never settle on Photon. If they do, I did not hear it. But they go through a million different names, and she's like, I don't need a stupid fucking name. Just call me Monica Rambeau. But her character's name is Photon. They don't even like finish that joke. You
Right.
set it up, and then you don't go like, oh, how did you do that? Oh, I used photon powers. And they look at each other like, that's your name.
No, high five.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing like that. So yeah, it's not very good. I gave it a D plus because it's not much of a movie. There's glimpses of things that I didn't hate, but if Miss Marvel wasn't in it, this would be a huge stinker.
So where does this rank next to Thor: Love and Thunder? Above or below?
Oh, it's better than Thor: Love and Thunder.
Okay.
I would say it's probably even above Iron Man 3 because I don't like that movie at all. It's definitely like,
I think a lot of people would disagree with you.
oh yeah, sure. I don't know why people like Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 sucks. It's an if I'm ranking them, it's probably an F tier
Sure.
movie. But it's watchable.
Yeah.
You know, I would watch. Oh, it's better than Quantumania. We'll say that.
Huh. Okay.
But what it's got going for it, it's relatively short. It does kind of zoom by, but I feel the only thing its lasting impact will be its mid-credit scene. Have you heard what it is?
It's the only thing from the movie I've seen. It's popped up online. I was
Okay.
like, I don't care about this movie, so I'll see what the thing is.
Yeah. So Photon has to like close a rift to another world, but she has to stay on that side, and closes it and is lost forever. She wakes up in a hospital and her mom is there, and she's like, "Mom, what's going on?" And her mom's looking at her like, "Who the fuck are you? I'm not your mom." And then in walks Kelsey Grammer's Beast from X-Men. Not actually Kelsey Grammer's Beast, just the voice, because he's just a cartoon character in this. He looks a lot like the animated series Beast.
Sure.
So he looks good. He doesn't look real. He definitely looks like a cartoon standing there. And then her mom stands up and like takes a blanket off, and she's wearing this outfit of I have no idea. I have no clue who this character is supposed to be. It's like red and white with like H's or something on it. I guess it's supposed to be a big reveal, but I have no idea who that is.
Okay.
So it's nice. It's nice going, okay, finally we're inching towards X-Men, but we're still so far away of how this is going to work. Okay, so we're establishing they are another universe, just over a line somewhere. And are we going to merge them? Are we going to go over to them? Like, that's something they could always do. Like, the X-Men just exist in this universe, and there are no Avengers, and then the Avengers get dumped into it. So then we get
the only way to
we
do it.
pick and choose who we keep. Like, well, we're not going to have Iron Man no more. We're not going to have Hulk. Okay, but there is like the final scene is Miss Marvel sitting in a chair in the shadows doing like a Nick Fury thing, and Kate Bishop comes in like, oh, I bet you didn't know you were part of a bigger world, and does that whole thing.
Oh my god!
And then she's just like, you're not the only teen superhero, and you're like, I'm 23. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And so she wants to start the Young Avengers. So.
I voted the last 2 elections.
So yeah, I think that's what they'll do, Secret Wars, and it will be, oh my god, we have to stop this machine, otherwise all the dimensions will be destroyed, and all the people they want to keep, i.e. the Young Avengers, they'll all dump in, and then the portal will close, and then we never have to look at Captain Marvel again, Iron Man, all those people, that door will just be shut.
I don't care. Moving on.
Yeah,
it sounds like a ton of fun, and I'm glad I didn't.
I would say watch it when it comes on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
just to say, because this is your first Marvel movie you didn't see in theaters. So
yeah,
you broke the curse or something.
I mean, mostly it's due to the fact that I have a a new child, and
Yeah, you keep blaming the kid for it. Okay, it's been months.
And my
Okay,
wife-
figure out a schedule, Steve.
my wife wants to see things too, and but we don't. So we will. Yeah, we'll watch this when it comes on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Because I guess I'm a masochist. So
Well, hey, it'll be a chance for you to make up your own mind and don't rely on
yeah.
armchair critics.
I'm sure it's. I was gonna say not as bad as people say, but from what you say, it's pretty bad. So I look forward to hate watching it.
But not in the like. I can't believe how ugly this is. I can't believe how stupid this is. Like with a couple of their last movies, it's just it's a shame. They really shit the bed on this.
Got it.
So our main topic is The Killer, directed by David Fincher. Steve, do your thing. Give us a little rundown.
The story of The Killer stars Michael Fassbender as an assassin for hire, and on a job, things go wrong and he doesn't hit his target. Now, the people that he works for have come after someone in his life, and now he's going back for revenge and trying to take out everyone who may have been connected to this wrongdoing. Will he succeed? Will he not? That's for you to find out by the end of this movie.
You know, every Hitman movie that ever comes out, it's always something went wrong, or I was disavowed. They wanted me dead, and now I have to get revenge. It's the same fucking plot every time. I will say this one subverts it a little bit at the end. We'll get to that. It was like the second movie he made with Netflix. His last one he did was Mank. And I know he had a 4-year contract with them, and I don't know if that's we need 4 movies from you, or if he's done with Netflix. I thought this was kind of an odd pick for David Fincher. I mean, it's not too weird.
Yeah, it feels like a movie that's in his realm, but it also seems so simple compared to everything else.
Yeah.
So, well, first off, just in general, what did you think of this movie? Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I was interested for about 10 minutes. It's like, okay, I kind of like this guy's deal. He reminded me a little bit like Patrick Bateman Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, just what his routine is and how methodical he could be, and just kind of explaining to us how it's not an action adventure every time. Sometimes you're just sitting around.
Yeah.
Then it goes on for like 45 minutes to an hour that I did not give a shit about. It was like incredibly uninteresting. Then there's a big old fight scene that really wrapped me back in. And then I kind of enjoyed myself for the rest of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like this movie. I was worried at the beginning because the first 15 minutes of this movie is essentially just dude hanging out in a room, like just monologuing to the audience for a long period of time. And there were parts where I was just like trying to focus on what he was saying, because I'm sure there's something deep here.
Yeah.
And then, he just keeps talking. It's like, wait, what the fuck was he talking about a minute ago? Like, whatever point he's trying to make, I've already lost it.
Yeah.
And so we have the hit that goes wrong because...
Yeah, what a fucking idiot. He spends all that time. He had so many opportunities to take that shot, and he takes it at the worst possible moment.
Yeah, he's been in that room for 5 days. And they're like, all right, you give it 2 more days, and if nothing happens by tomorrow, let us know. And so on the 6th night, the guy finally comes home. He's in his penthouse. Michael Fassbender's got the sniper rifle and misses the shot because he clips the prostitute or the sex worker that he hired.
Yeah.
And so the sex worker is dead, and the guy gets away. And
this is like a French president?
I think it's a French businessman.
Oh, businessman. Okay.
Which we'll get to later. So then he goes on the run, and what I think what really helped for this movie for me is I like assassin stuff because I like to know their world. I think like John Wick's world is obviously absurd, but it's super fun and interesting because there's just a bunch of like fun little ways.
Bunch of coins you pass back and forth.
Just like deep lore that may or may not make sense. But I like how realistic this was, and how he's able to do things very quickly and efficiently, but also very subtly. Just like his process on how he does things, and it's not uh, Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible stuff where it's all this like mass and we gotta hack into this system and do all that. It's just like
avoid the laser tripwires and
I'm gonna just park out in this room,
Yep.
and then there's cameras everywhere, so I can't not be seen. But I just make myself
look so uninteresting.
Oh, so interesting. No one will notice me. Or if they see me on camera, it doesn't really matter because I'm already on the plane to the next place. And then
he is very good about like getting the fuck out of there.
But just even him hopping on the motorcycle to get away, and just as he's driving, throwing the gun down the sewer, throwing his clothes into the open garbage truck, just like that kind of shit. That's so quick. I was like, that's cool. Like that's how I imagine Assassins can kind of work. It's both badass but realistic, and that's what I appreciate about it. It's not some big, oh, we need to get out of here. Better blow up the fucking building I'm in. Because that'll distract the cops while I make the grand escape. No, it's just like I'm gonna hop on a motorcycle and just drive away.
Now, you're saying like you like Hitman stuff and Assassin stuff because you like their world. The thing I wish we would focus on in one of these is the start. How do you get into something like this? Most of the time it's, I was in military, I got really good, I got noticed by specific generals. When I got out of the military, those generals introduced me to someone, we see it in Barry.
Yeah.
But I wanted, like, how did he get his start? How did anybody get their start in being this way overpriced assassin?
Right.
You can't apply for this sort of job. How do you get into it? And I wish we would go into that a bit more. And I know he's just the killer. We never know his name. All of the names that he uses are from like old TV shows. But like, I just want to know, like, how did he get in contact with the bookkeeper guy who he puts nails in his chest? Like, what's the connections?
Yeah, I think there are times where, I want the backstory, and times where is it really necessary? And for this movie, for me personally, I didn't need his real name. I didn't need his backstory because I was okay with him just already being good. Now, when he's talking about, like, I've already put in my 10,000 hours, and I've, like, done all the jobs and made the mistakes, and sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's, like, I can make it look like an accident. I can make it, however I need to do it. Like, I've done it all. Part of that conversation makes me want to, like, well, let me see some of that stuff. Like, that sounds cool.
We do get some. We do get the quiet kills. We get the mistake. We get a quiet kill. We get a one he makes look like an accident. Like, we get a little bit of it.
And there's the whole, like, he keeps repeating the same line of don't improvise.
Stick to the plan.
And anticipate. Don't improvise. Don't get empathetic or whatever it is. I'm butchering it. But the point is, like, he has a system, and you always in these movies you see him break that system, and he does kind of, but it's never like so grandiose. Like, he's like, I'm gonna just shoot this person in the head and not really like try and hide it. But I know it's not gonna like affect me.
And he, like, him showing up to Tilda Swinton's table, that seems like a thing you would never ever do. Yeah. You would just wait till she goes out to her car and shoot her in the head.
Yeah. But anywho, his backstory I never needed. What I needed from him was, this is where I think the movie loses me. This is where it gets knocked down a couple points. I just wish I cared about him and his plight at all. Yeah. Because, he butchers the job, and then he goes back to the Dominican Republic where he has essentially his home. Yeah. Where...
His girlfriend?
It's like, is it his girlfriend? Is it just a friend? Is it a lover? Is it his wife? It never really explains. No. It's just this woman that lives in his house is attacked, and not killed, and I guess they tried to torture her somewhat to get to him, but they don't kill her for some reason.
Morons.
And... she's just like, I never gave you up. And he's like, it's cool. Don't worry about it. And then the rest of the movie is him getting revenge on this person that we don't even know if he really cares about that much. Because
I can only assume because she's there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, but his whole deal is like, don't show empathy for the targets, obviously. But like, this guy has a whole, there is a life here, but we have no context of, is he happy in this life?
Mhm.
Does he enjoy spending money? He has a
Yeah.
very nice house in a
Mhm.
beautiful country, but we don't know anything about that. Like, I needed something of that.
Yeah.
Like, does this guy make jokes?
Yeah.
Does this
Uh-huh.
guy go out on dates with this
Yeah.
woman?
Does he watch TV?
Does he like to dance?
Yeah.
Anything. We know,
We know he
zero
likes
about-
music, but
Yeah.
he only just uses music to help with the boredom.
Yeah. So I just needed a reason to care.
Yeah.
Because at no point did he ever seem fun. Or like, you know how sometimes assassins are like, oh, I'm so methodical, I'm so dark and brooding.
Mhm.
But then when they need to put on an act because they're wearing the garbage man, it's like, oh, hey, buddy, how's
Yeah.
it going? Oh, thanks for holding the door for me, pal. Oh,
Yeah.
you're really... Like,
Mhm.
they're able to put on a show to be a normal human being.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do any of that. It's
No.
just, he's always just right in the door, or whenever he's talking to somebody at the TSA or whatever, he barely speaks to them, and it's like, all right, have a good trip, mister. And he's like,
Mhm.
all right, thanks. And
Yeah,
he's
there's
off. It's
only
like, there's no...
one time when he's trying to get through a door and like a UPS guy, and he's like bringing in the trash can, and he's
Yeah.
just kind of like, oh, hold the door. Oh, thanks, buddy. You know, there's
Yeah.
like a moment, just a moment.
Yeah. So, as good as Michael Fassbender is at being scary and a believable psycho,
Mhm.
I wish I liked him.
Yeah.
That's my only real issue with this movie, because direction-wise, music-wise, I think like it's all perfectly David Fincher.
No.
There's
I think this is the most boring looking of all of his movies. It's adequately shot, but it's not interesting. Every one of his movies, you look back, they're pretty interesting movies, and this is not an interesting movie to look at.
I just mean technically there's nothing wrong. There's not like
Yeah, there's no boom mics in the shot. Yes, that's true.
there's no this is a perfectly well directed movie. But at no point watching this would I say like it's a Fincher film.
Mhm.
Even though it does have that vibe, I'd be like, oh, this is very David Fincher-esque. I wouldn't think this was a David Fincher film.
I would say that.
That's what I would say.
Okay. You
Anyway.
talked about sound. The sound was so fucking annoying because it kept cutting from inside his head and what he's seeing to what the real world is, and he has his headphones in, and so the sound would be like 3 seconds of a song and then back to ambient noise, and then 1 second of the song and then back to what just the room sounds like. It was really obnoxious. It was jarring, and I did not like it. And so you go back to like Social Network or Gone Girl has like really interesting haunting scores, and this I can't recall anything from it except in the moment going, I don't like this, but nothing really stuck out to me as being like good.
So we have him. What was your favorite? I mean, I know what your favorite scene is because it's probably one of my favorite scenes
Yeah.
of the year.
Well, I did like when the woman's like, hey, please kill me like it's an accident. I know you can do that. My kids need the insurance money. And he was like, okay. Takes her all the way back to her house just to like break her neck and let her fall down the stairs so it looks like an accident.
Yeah.
Of course.
He does have a heart.
Yeah, a little bit. Of course, she was like zip tied and she was struggling a lot. I think the coroner is going to be a little curious about some of the marks on her body, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know enough about autopsies and stuff to say. But
so that was probably my favorite because it was nice. It came out of like it happened really quick and it kind of got me.
Yeah, it's very No Country for Old Men,
Yeah.
Anton Sugar kind of thing where it's like, you know, the girl begging for her life at the end and you know he killed her or whatever.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just because you're a psycho killer doesn't mean you're like, yeah, I can kind of like you're gonna die no matter what, but I can kind of do you a
He's
favor.
not the psycho killer that's reveling in your death and wants to look in your eyes as the soul leaves and, you know, he's bathing in your blood. He's not like that.
Yeah. What I will say I kind of enjoyed about Michael Fassbender's character in this, it kind of reminded me of Ben Affleck in The Accountant, but not the... My problem with that movie is, so, like, what made Ben Affleck a good killer or a good assassin, whatever, in that movie is that he had
He was autistic, right?
Yeah, he was autistic or Asperger's or whatever. Like that's what made him kind of good at the job.
Yeah, both jobs, killer and accountant.
and accounting, yeah. And then you have someone like Anton Sugar, who's just like a psychopath.
Yeah.
It always just seems like it's those two. I can only be good at this job because I have this mental condition.
Yeah.
Where this kind of just seemed like
I'm just a guy.
I'm just a guy.
I just understand
how
the world works.
Yeah, I have a method which somebody could probably write some psychologist can come in and be like, well, actually, he's really establishing a lot of signs of this or whatever. I don't know, but in terms of just from what the movie shows us, he just seems like an efficient dude, which I kind of appreciated. That not every assassin has to be some either psycho or
some wonder kid,
have some mental thing that causes them to like go into this line of work. It's just like, hey man, I like money and I'm good at this job.
Well, the movie Predators told us that autism is like the next stage in evolution. So I forgot about that movie, didn't you?
I hated that you took me to that movie. God,
that was a good time though.
The armor at the end.
Just real shit.
Anyway, I think there was some fun stuff there, like him buying the tools from Ace Hard. There was a lot of product placement.
Yeah, movie, Starbucks, McDonald's,
a lot of Amazon stuff.
Yeah,
but while normally I would hate that in a movie, I like that it was kind of like, well, these are all here because this is what a real assassin would use. So it all made sense to me. So I was like,
you can too. Just shop on Amazon and you can be your own train killer.
You can also get packages sent to a random PO box or whatever. And
need to get into your girlfriend's house and she's got one of those specialty keys that you need a special fob for. Just buy this thing.
Just buy this thing and hacks into them. Or whatever. So I like that there was some real world application there, and like him killing the guy with the nail gun and just like you're gonna drown in your own blood, which I thought was like pretty fucking cool. I think there was some fun stuff in here, and by fun I mean like I like seeing how they can like it's like pulling up a heist but with a dead body, like that kind of stuff. I think that's why I like Assassin World stuff. I want to see how they get away with it.
Felt bad for the taxi driver. Seems like he didn't deserve to die.
Everyone else deserved to die. The taxi driver was just kind of, I was in the wrong cab at the wrong time. But, he saw your face and, whatever.
But so did the guy at the very end. But maybe because he's like a big tech billionaire or whatever.
So, anyway, Michael Fassbender goes on his killing tour. He stops at a Florida guy's house. And this Florida guy is jacked. He works out, shoots steroids probably or whatever. Crushes protein shakes, and he's the guy who I guess did the deed to the woman. And Michael Fassbender sneaks into his house, and he's gonna get him, but then suddenly he pops out, and then a fantastic fight sequence happens.
Really good fight sequence. Does he flip a table and throw the guy on, and the table leg goes up his butt?
I was confused about because it kind of seemed like. I wasn't sure if it hit the top of his leg.
Because it looks like he pulled it out from his leg or cheek. But when he's standing there, he has like blood on his crotch. As if it was like... Or maybe it went right up his taint,
Yeah. I can't imagine a more awful thing to happen to me.
It's one thing when it's like, here's this application thing that is meant for your butt. It's another thing when it's a like square wooden table leg that may not be sanded down properly, has lots of edges. That's the awful stuff.
I just took it as it kind of clipped his like inner thigh area and then just like pulled at the bottom. Because I think he was kind of like walking with a limp at that point, but he also got hit with a bunch of different stuff. And I didn't want to imagine, a stab to the taint area. Because I imagine if I took that blow, I'd be like, yeah, dude, just kill me.
Finish me.
You got me. You got me good. So what did you like about this fight?
What didn't I like? It was just like smashing him through any piece of furniture he had, any part of the wall. It was just very brutal, drag out, but not in a John Wick way where let me hold your hand
It
with
was the most
back of my
John
knee.
Wick scene.
It was the most John Wick scene, but it didn't feel choreographed, and it didn't feel like John Wick always like gets you in a fun position and takes you out real quick. This seemed like two guys just scraping for their lives and doing whatever they could to survive.
Yeah, I really liked. I thought at the beginning I was like, oh, Fassbender's fucked because this dude is so big and he's like when he lands the first couple blows, it's like you can really feel it. And I think the camera kind of shakes with the blows, and it's not the Matrix like sound effects. It's not going for the Indiana Jones like sound effect. It's just like it sounds like these dudes are hitting each other, and it sounds awful, and it's awesome. And I was like, I don't know how Fassbender's still standing, but I mean, you do see him like kind of cleaning himself off after the hit gone bad, and Fassbender is clearly like a very fit man. But still, at the same time, like it seems like this is the kind of guy who, if he hits you in the face 3 times at any point, you're not going to keep going. But I don't know anything about fighting or adrenaline or muscles, so who am I to say?
We're just sacks of organs in front of microphones.
But I love this fight. Love the brutalness of it, just throwing through stuff. I loved the grabbing of glasses and smashing it over each other and beating them with bongs. And, the pokers from the fight that he uses like a hook into the guy's shoulder at one point, which is really cool. Great, awesome scene. And
then Molotovs the whole house.
My next question was like, oh man, his blood's going to be all over the place. Like, what's he going to do? And I was like, of course he's just going to set it on fire.
I do like that, how whenever he uses any sink or whatever, he's got his little special spray and he wipes it all down. Like, he leaves nothing behind. What? I swore when he was buying all the stuff for that attack, the bottle he uses for Molotov was just like Old English beer or something. It just seemed like a 40. You can't make a Molotov out of a 40. Was he just buying it for the bottle?
I think he was just buying it for the bottle.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, just buy some Everclear or something. Anyhow. Okay, I thought he made a Molotov out of a beer, so thank God. And so then he meets up with Tilda Swinton. That's a fun little scene of her like, oh, shit, I'm about to die. I'll take 6 whiskeys, please.
I mean, if you're going to die, I guess going out with like a really awesome meal is probably one of the best ways to do it.
She even asked
like that or sex or something.
Sure,
like
and she's like, oh, do you have any ice cream back there? Oh, yeah, we do. And you're like, never mind. You're gonna die. Have some ice cream before you go. I want to do. If someone holds a gun to me and is like, any last request, like, can I get on a roller coaster one more time? Can I smoke one cigarette? I've never tried heroin. Can you let me try heroin then shoot me? Like, I feel like if I get these opportunities, let me try to. And she just passed up for some ice cream at the end.
Would you know where to get heroin?
I would try my hardest. If it prolongs my life, yes.
Yeah. Which, I'm a big fan of Tilda Swinton, just because I think she's one of the greatest actresses of our time. Yeah. And it's cool to see her in here. And, I mean, gets second billing for being in this movie for 4 minutes tops.
I'd say closer to 7.
Closer to 7? Okay. Barely in it at all. Which is, like I said, nice to see her. But I think you could have more or less replaced her with any actress. Yeah. It's just she's great and she's got an interesting look, so I get it. Yeah. But I don't think she needed to be in here.
No.
But it was nice to see her. Anyway, I liked her, like how she attempted to get him at the end. I thought that was cool.
Like, oh, I slipped on the stairs. Please help me up, and ignore the blade in my other hand.
Just immediately just popped her there.
Yeah, I know what you're doing.
Yeah,
I'm not
I've been down
fool.
this road. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then he gets to his final kill, which is a lot of tech stuff, casing the joint. We get to see it all the way. I mean, like all of his things, we see it from start to finish. And then he just doesn't kill the guy. I like it because the guy said, I don't know you. I just said, if there's a problem, do we have a fail safe? So I don't get burned. And your boss has said, yeah, we'll kill him. That's cool. For an extra, what was it, 150,000?
Yeah.
He's one of their best people, right? He's been doing it for years. He's making a lot of money. He's good. Why? For $150,000, you're willing to get rid of this employee?
I mean, for $150,000, you probably pay anybody to do anything. He probably made $150,000 on a hit.
But they would make so much more money having him in.
They probably have a bunch of guys. Because when he goes to the lawyer's office, he's like, I know you have a file on me here somewhere. You have a file on all of us.
Sure.
So you know that there's other people out there.
And I know that's kind of a hitman assassin sort of thing of, oh, I'm getting to the end of the line. I want to retire. Well, we take you out. You don't get to retire with all this knowledge, and you could hold it against us. It just seemed like a weird thing that they would offer, unless they said something of, this is the third time you fucked up in a row, and you're losing it. So now we have to get rid of you, and maybe this was his final, like, let me prove to you, I still got it, and he fucks up this one again. Okay, that makes sense, but I just don't see why they would burn this great assassin for some.
And I mean, John Wick obviously has done it the most egregiously, but like a lot of these assassin movies are, the assassin fails, we'll send other assassins after them, and of course, you guys just spent all this money to get these assassins to kill this guy or whatever, and you just lost a bunch of different assassins or whatever. I'm glad this movie didn't go that route where, oh, we have to send another guy. Clive Owen's coming after Jason Bourne or whatever. It's not doing that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he can disappear. How are they gonna fucking find him? And even if they do, who fucking cares? So I like that they didn't try and go down that road. Now, at first I was like, what? He explains, because we've seen all these characters explain the thing. It's just like, hey man, I just drove the car there. I didn't know who these people were. I don't know who they are. I don't know who you are. You don't have to kill me. Boom, dead.
Yeah.
Hey, like I set all this stuff up. You don't need to do this or whatever. Boom, dead. Tilda Swinton. Hey, I just call him as I see, whatever the fuck her deal was. I kind of lost, but like, yeah, the guy in the Florida guy, he had to die.
Yeah.
But some of these other people, it's just like they were all just kind of doing their job, but kills them all. And then the guy who like paid for everything, who paid for all this to happen, you don't kill that guy because he was just like, hey man, I didn't know you existed. They just told me to clean it up.
I like that.
But I thought like, because he asked him, do we have a problem? Because I guess what I thought the movie was trying to say, and maybe you got a different thing from it, was, look, I can kill this billionaire, millionaire dude or whatever, but it really won't matter because there's a bunch of these guys, and they're the guys who pay for my work. I can't go around killing these dudes. Like, killing him will do... It won't send any sort of message to not do this shit or whatever. He's a paying customer kind of thing. It's like, if we're good, we're good. So I do like that too. Is that what you got from it, or were you confused as to why you didn't kill him, or you didn't care why you didn't kill him?
No, to me it just seemed like you're right. You didn't do anything malicious for me. You were just covering your ass, and I did kind of fuck up. So you were kind of in the right to cover your ass. Okay, I won't kill you, or you couldn't kill me. I won't kill you. We'll just call it even.
Yeah. Because, I mean, he goes in there and says, I just wanted to show you how easy it is for me to get to you. But it's just so interesting that, the guy who is like, oh, we'll pay $150,000 and we'll cover all your tracks, basically kill Michael Fassbender. But like I said earlier, Michael Fassbender shows his face to seemingly anyone who wants to see it or doesn't want to see it. He's willing to just walk up to you and be like, yeah, I'm a fucking serial killer. Not serial killer, but assassin. And I just find that so interesting because it's so the opposite of what we're trained as like movie viewers to. It's like, no, assassins work in the shadows. He doesn't really work in the shadows.
No.
He like swings by to kill somebody, but then he's like, yeah, I'm out and about doing my thing, going to McDonald's to get a quarter pounder to kill time.
Yeah, I think he ate like 2 Egg McMuffins, but he took the muffins part off and he just put like 2 egg, 2 bacon, 2 cheese, and just ate it like that.
Can't have those carbs, man.
Yeah, it was a good way to get. He said like 10 grams of protein. I think it's more than that, but next week is another Michael Fassbender movie. Next Goal Wins. That's kind of interesting that he has 2 back to back. But I was like, what was the last thing he did? Do you have any idea what the last movie he did?
Where he was like the lead?
One of. I'll give you a hint. It was 2019. So he had a pretty big break.
Okay. Was it? Uh, what was that? What was the very last X-Men movie?
Dark Phoenix.
Was it Dark Phoenix?
It was.
He hasn't been in anything since Dark Phoenix.
Hasn't been anything since Dark Phoenix.
Wow.
4 years it's been. And so
COVID really fucked some shit up.
I'm looking at his filmography. He's not had the greatest filmography in the past few years. So Dark Phoenix, The Snowman, one of the worst. Terrible movie.
How Did You Get Made did a episode on the Snowman, yeah, and they tore it to shreds.
It's a terrible movie. Alien Covenant, Assassin's Creed, and there's like Trespass Against Us and The Light Between Oceans. I don't know what those are.
I think The Light Between Oceans is a Terrence Malick movie.
Okay.
What was the other one?
Trespass Against Us.
You have no idea what that is.
And then X-Men Apocalypse. So, yeah.
Ah.
He doesn't have the greatest filmography, but people still love him.
I like Fassbender.
I think it's his giant hog. So, you have anything else to say about The Killer, or should we get on to ranking David Fincher's movies?
Let's rank some Fincher films.
Okay. So,
I think you and I are going to be
very different.
Different on a lot of things.
Oh, yes.
Except for probably the top two. I have a feeling our top two is similar. I could be wrong.
Maybe. He's made 12 films. Mm-hmm. You got 12. I want to make sure that
I do have 12.
All right, we're not counting any television shows. We're not talking about any of the music videos. And looking at his IMDb list, he has like 98 directing credits. He made a ton of music videos.
A shocking amount of videos. From
nuts.
Like
Since the
biggest,
80s, yeah.
From like the biggest names, too.
Yeah. Paula Abdul? He did a Paula Abdul video. All right, so I don't know. How do we do this? Just we each say our number 12 and work our way up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, why not? It's like
we'll talk about
you. It's like you can go first, and then you say your number 12, then I say my number 12, then I'll say my 11, then you. So like we'll go back and forth.
That's fair. Okay, and we'll just talk very briefly on all this, and then we'll wrap this shit up. Okay, so 12 major motion picture releases. My number 12 is Mank.
Okay.
It's good. I think I even gave it like an A the year it came out. It was probably my top 10 of that year. It's a very good movie that I never want to watch again.
All right. My number 12 is The Game. Because I've never seen it.
Is that the one you have not seen?
That's the only one I have not seen.
Okay. The Game's good.
Okay.
The game is fun. It's, I think, very of its time. I think it shows. But, yeah.
All right. Okay.
So your number 11?
My number 11 is Mank.
Okay.
Which I pretty much have the same thing as you. I think visually looks good. Great performances. Amanda Seyfried, I think, is, from what I remember, probably my favorite part of that movie.
Mm-hmm. Who's the lead?
Gary Oldman.
That's right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But once again, it's one of those movies that it ends, it's like, wow, that was pretty good. And I'll never watch it again.
Never watch it again. My number 11 is Panic Room.
Okay.
Panic Room, I thought was really fucking cool when it first came out. I don't think it really holds up. Plus, Jared Leto's in it. So, automatically get a few points knocked off.
Christ, Jared Leto's. All right. My number 10.
Oh, no, it's my turn now.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
my number 10 is The Killer.
Okay.
For all the things I've said already.
All right. My number 10 is Alien 3. I know Alien is your favorite franchise, Ben, and I knew this movie was going to be much higher on your list than mine. You swore by Alien 3, and it's like, it's, so good. It's not as bad as people say.
Because it isn't.
There's all this stuff. And I watched it because of you, and there's some solid stuff in it. It's pretty good, but am I ever going to watch it again? No. Is it as good as the first two? No. Does it blow my mind for the franchise or make me want to go like, oh, I can't wait for Alien 4? No, but it does it deserve more credit? Sure. But is it the kind of the oddest choice on the Fincher filmography? For sure.
It stands out a bit, yep. All right, your number 9?
My number 9 is The Killer, for all the reasons we said earlier in the podcast.
All right. My number 9 is The Game. I really enjoy it, but and definitely compared to everything else, it's the least Fincher-esque.
Mm-hmm.
I could see if he made it now, how different it would be. But for his time, it was only his second movie he ever
What's the
made.
game about again?
Michael Douglas is a super rich dude, and he wants something for his birthday. So then, all of a sudden, his life starts spiraling out of control, and he doesn't know if it's an elaborate setup to give him an experience that he will never forget, or is someone actually trying to ruin his life.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sounds
I think you would like the game. So that was 10. No, that was 9. Yeah. So my number 8 is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button.
do you have anything to say about it?
I've seen it the one time, and it was very impressive technology wise. But all in all, not anything I'm going to revisit. It's a sweet story.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It's different. It's a story you've never heard before. You know, whereas like The Killer, you've done this a million times. No one's made a Benjamin Button, and has changed our lexicon whenever we talk about like, oh, is it a young old person or an old young person? It's like, oh, is that a Benjamin Button?
Yeah.
So it gets a little bit of credit for that.
Well, Ben, we have our first same number, and my number 8 is Benjamin Button as well.
We always do it at least once. Yeah.
When this movie came out, I remember liking it quite a bit. I haven't seen it in a long, long time. I remember it being like a little long, but I mean, it is encapsulating someone's like 80 years of life, and I think it does it very well. And I feel like I remember there being some memorable scenes, especially the like if this person didn't do this thing at this time, then this would never happen. Like I think there was like some fun stuff in there, like you said, some technology that hadn't quite gotten like was pretty impressive at the time, a little bit ahead of its time. Good performances from Cate Blanchett and Brad Pitt, and Brad Pitt was like so fucking hot in that movie when he got to like 70 years old, you know?
Yeah.
When he was actually
Because he's actually 20.
He's actually 20. But of all the Fincher stuff, it's nice, it's sweet,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful life story and love story that ends in a weird way, but like it's not every movie that ends with a baby dying and you're like
Happy for it, yeah.
you know. So I think it deserves more credit than it gets, but it's also one of those movies that it's not because it's so long and because it's so different that it doesn't necessarily warrant a bunch of rewatches, but I would happily rewatch it again.
I think it deserves another rewatch from me. I just don't know when I'll ever pull that trigger. So then what is your number 7?
My number 7 is Panic Room. I like small stories set in one location with a small group of actors, and I think, and I've only seen this movie. I think I've seen this movie twice, and I know it's always on repeat on FX or whatever channel it fucking is on. But to tell a story and of people stuck in a house and make it interesting and visually appealing and have good performances, I really enjoy that stuff. So I think that's why Panic Room gets higher up on my list than yours, just because it's probably the least visually appealing of all of Fincher's films, but executed very well for its content.
And I would say one thing that really impressed me when I first saw it is the intro credits. It has like the words of the actors floating in space, like in a New York skyline, just like on the street, but it looked as if they were actually there. It wasn't on the screen. They were like at an angle or attached to a building, and it was something I had never seen before until that time, and went like, wow, there's something to it. And then they also tried to do like, in Fight Club when like the zoom in through like his coffee cup or trash or something, they do that in Panic Room, like they're traveling through the kitchen. It's all CG. Yeah, you haven't seen it.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, anyhow. So my number 7 is Fight Club.
Okay.
I think Fight Club is very, very good. I didn't like it when I first saw it. When I left the theater, I went like, why is everybody talking about that? The movie's not very good. In rewatches, it is a very good movie, but it's not my movie. People are very precious about Fight Club, and they really identify with Tyler Durden, and that's totally me. And no, it's not. Shut up. But it's just it's one of those like Boondock Saints where it's like edgy and cool as fuck, and everybody's talking about this. And so I have to drop it down a bit because I think some of that has tainted the movie, but it's still a very good movie. My number 6 is Alien 3. A great Alien movie. It's not the sequel most people wanted after Aliens, They were a little butthurt with killing off Newt and Hicks, but I think on its own, don't connect it to anything else. It is just a really excellent sci-fi horror action movie. And yeah, some of the effects don't hold up. It was like 92, 93 when it came out, so I'll be forgiving of it. Alien 3 is an awesome movie.
All right.
So you're number 6.
My number 6 is Gone Girl. Yeah.
Wow.
I enjoy this movie. I think it's got, good performances all throughout. I remember watching the trailer and going like, "Wow, they showed her dead in the trailer." Well, like
that's
you spoiled the movie,
you spoiled
right?
everything.
Yeah. But
Little did you know
that there's a twist there, and I like how, spoiler for Gone Girl, she turned out to be this whole cool mastermind. There's some
absolute psychopath.
She's like one of the worst characters I've ever seen
Yeah.
on screen, and just to get to the end and still like is able to. Oh, you want to get out of this? Too bad. I already thought my way out of that. It's just, it's one of those movies that she like someone who's like so villainous, but not really do all that much villainy.
Yeah.
Like she kills a person,
Sure.
but just to like
And then like
mastermind
manipulates
and
it
just-
into like she's this huge victim.
yeah, and how like just I'll be friends with the neighbor, but really I'm just using her so she'll like hear my story so she can tell the news.
Or
that,
to
like,
get like fuck up my toilet so I can get her pee so
Yeah.
I can get a pregnancy test.
like
You know?
it's kind of it's the killer assassin story without ever having to like really kill anybody.
Yeah.
Just the like knowing all the ins and outs to like this is how I'm gonna back up my backups and stuff. So Gone Girl's really fun, but like many of Fincher's stuff, it's kind of a downer and doesn't really want to make me rewatch it because I just feel bad when it's over.
All right. My number 5 is Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Wait, no, I get to go to 5, right? Because I did 6. Because you did your 6.
Yeah.
And then I
Oh,
go
I'm
6, and
sorry.
then I go
I'm
5.
sorry.
Well, Ben, we hit our second, so we can talk about it at the same
Girl
time.
with the Dragon Tattoo.
Number 5 is Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Now,
Amazing.
This movie blew me away when I first saw it because I went into it not really knowing anything about it. Like obviously I saw the trailer, and I had like heard some brutalness, how brutal this movie can be, and 100% it is.
In satisfying revenge.
Yeah, but I'm so glad I went into this movie blind because as the story unfolded and the plot twists were happening, and how it ends and everything, and how it all comes together. It's just executed so well, and this character who's so odd and different, and unlikable, and not your like typical hero. Because you also have Daniel Craig as kind of the co-lead, who like you want to like him, but then by the end of the movie, you're like, no, this chick is fucking badass and awesome. This movie is great. But the reason it's at number 5 is because it is so brutal and hard to watch. I don't want to watch it over and over
Very
again.
true.
And it's also pushing 3 hours long.
It is. And they knew when to stop. They didn't need to do the other 2 books after this because the originals are not good. The first original is fine. The 2 sequels suck. The remake sequel that they did was terrible. This is great on its own. You don't need anything more.
And the great Max von Sydow is in this movie too.
Okay. My number 4 is The Social Network. Social Network. There's not been a movie I think that surprised me more. I heard David Fincher has a new movie coming out. Yeah, and the music is done by Trent Reznor. And I didn't know Atticus Ross at the time, but Trent Reznor, I definitely know, like, yeah, that's awesome. And it's about Facebook. I'm like, are you fucking serious? There's nothing I want to see less than that. And within the first 10 minutes of just that bar scene, when he's breaking up with Rooney Mara, is it?
Rooney Mara.
I turned to my friend and I'm just like, I fucking love this movie. just that Aaron Sorkin, zippity zappity back and forth sort of dialogue and the amazing music and great performances by, everyone's favorite Andrew Garfield and Justin Timberlake giving a really good performance. Everyone's so fucking good in this story of a fucking weirdo, creepy dude, but you actually kind of care for him, but you also know he's a huge piece of shit and you shouldn't like this guy. And then also to throw tons of special effects on top of it that you don't. I did not know that Army Hammer was two people in that
Yeah.
movie. I swore, I was like, oh, they just got two really handsome twins. No way I ever thought that was special effects. And that's what David Fincher is really good at, is putting in special effects when you don't necessarily notice
Notice
them.
it, yeah.
Love this fucking movie. It's amazing.
Well, Ben, we're cooking with grease because my number. Wait, no, you get to go to 3.
No,
fuck
because
it.
mine was 5, then 4, but our 5s were the same. So
Right.
now it's your 4, then you do 3.
Got it. Okay,
So-
great. Well, my number 4 is also Social Network.
Nice.
Fincher typically goes into the dark, dreary crime world kind of stuff. Really bleak. Where, I mean, this also has some bleakness, but it's a little bit more fun. I really enjoy this movie because there's actual characters in this that, you know, even if they're all kind of rich kids or whatever, it's kind of an underdog story.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they're something to aspire to in terms of they created something and they helped it, you know, it blossomed into something big and, you know, took
Something
over.
that changed the world.
Something that
too.
changed the world, yeah. And even if you're just, you know, by the end, it's like, well, they become billionaires and assholes, or
Yeah.
fuck it. Like, you know, these guys are the enemy, but the movie makes them so relatable and like someone you root for because they're just dudes working out of their dorm room and they're climbing the corporate ladder and they're gaining money and dating beautiful women. It's the thing that like everyone wants to do until you see other people do it and you're like, well, fuck those people.
Yeah.
And so it's just, yeah, the dialogue's fun. The characters are, you know, actual characters. It's just a good watch. And I've watched it a couple times. It's, of his movies, one of the more rewatchable ones, and just really hits you in all the right places. I think it's great.
So now you're number 3.
My number 3 is Fight Club. Fight Club, you know,
It's classic Fincher.
It's classic Fincher. It's one of his. There's a reason it kind of takes off. It has taken off the way it has. It's endlessly rewatchable. It's on TV all the time, or at least used to be. I'm not sure how much it is now because
I'm sure it's
no one really
edited to
watches
hell.
TV anymore.
Everyone watches TV. Nobody watches commercials.
right. But anywho, Edward Norton's great. Brad Pitt's great. When I was a teen and saw this movie for the first time, because I didn't see it when it came out in theaters. I saw it, you know,
You were just a wee baby.
I was just a wee baby in 1999.
9.
Great.
One of the best years of movies.
So I saw it when I was, I don't know, 13 or 14, 15, whatever the fuck it was. But I just remember having a good time, and it was cool, and it was flashy, and Brad Pitt was, you know, once again, back to Benjamin Button, he was handsome as hell, peak Pitt,
Yeah.
you know.
I saw a thing where people, was it the Sunny podcast? And they were talking about like, oh, I want to look like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. And the trainer's like, no one looks like Brad Pitt in Fight Club. No one can get to that level.
Yeah. And this was probably in the early stages of my film development where I'm actually watching quality films. So this one really
like this and Boondock Saints.
It was one of the ones that like stuck out, and I didn't see the twist coming. I was like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So I think this movie hit me at the right time, and I don't connect with, you know, dudes who beat each other up and want to like cause anarchy. That stuff is bad. I don't agree with that. But that doesn't mean I don't enjoy it in a movie. And I think Fight Club is awesome.
And I would normally, like I said, with Panic Room, it lost a couple of points because what's his face? Jared Leto was in it. This gets extra points because he gets the shit kicked out of him. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
And so then your number 2.
My number 2 is
Zodiac.
This was hard. But my number 2 is Zodiac.
Yeah.
This could go back and forth between number 1 and number 2, but I put it number 2 because
Wait, I think it was my turn.
who fucking cares?
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, my number 2 is Zodiac. I think Zodiac is probably the best film he's ever made, hands down. Some scenes that are just terrifying, but it's also the most interesting mystery that keeps you engaged.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not a flashy movie. There's not, you know, big detectives chasing down the whatever. It's just like guys who work in the newsroom trying to piece it together, and
not even having like fax machine technology to like work with other departments on it.
And it's never boring for a
No,
second.
no.
It's
And terrifying.
It's so interesting, and just a scene of just, oh, I'm in a basement with this guy, and just that scene alone, there's no like knives, there's nothing in that to make it scary other than something about this doesn't feel right,
Yep.
and it's so fucking effective.
And that's
And-
Roger Rabbit, the guy who does the voice of
Oh,
Roger
shit,
Rabbit.
shit,
That's him.
and there's a murder scene which is really hard to watch.
Oh,
The first time I saw it, it took me aback because I didn't
Yeah.
expect it, because
Mhm.
it's such like a bright, shiny, like lovely scene,
Mhm.
and then just immediately goes
Just very matter of fact.
very matter of fact.
There's no taking the knife and drawing it against them and like, I'm gonna cut you into pieces. Like,
Yeah.
nope, I'm just gonna kill you.
So I think this movie is his best film, hands down. The only reason it's number 2 is because the number 1 just is just iconic across the
Yeah.
board in just about every way. But we'll get to that in a
No.
bit.
My number 3 was Zodiac, and my number 2 is Gone Girl. I
Okay.
really do love Gone Girl.
I'm
Zodiac.
surprised Gone Girl so high on your list.
Yeah,
But okay.
It's
That's exciting.
It's a more interesting story.
Well,
Zodiac is kind of true crime,
Mhm.
and there's 1.5 million true crime things, and you could say Gone Girl is the same, but there's enough of twists to it that puts it a little bit above.
Mhm.
I have a special place for Zodiac because I was working at a movie theater at the time in Sacramento, and a lot of this takes place in Sacramento. They would cut to like this bridge that was literally a mile down the road, and I'm like sitting up in my seat like, I fucking know that. I've been right there. And I saw it on my birthday, and I was off of work on that day, and we were having a special screening of Zodiac, and you had to have these special passes, and I was like, I'm not seeing this. So I just snuck into it and grabbed an empty seat and had a blast and had my mind blown. So yeah, my number 2 is Gone Girl. Just, I love it. I love everything about it. And the book is great too. It's a pretty faithful adaptation. Little bit of changes here and there, but all in all, it's pretty close.
I remember talking when Gone Girl came out, or at least I think not long after it came out and we watched it. We were talking about how there's a scene where Ben Affleck, they're taking his photo next to his wife's like missing photo, and he smiles
Yeah.
and everything, and you're just kind of just like, and they all start talking about like, why would
you smile?
Yeah, yeah.
Your wife is
But
missing.
then I remember talking to you and go, like, well, in the book, he even recognized that. He's like, I'm a fucking idiot. Why did I smile like that?
Yeah.
And I was just like, why the fuck am I smiling right now?
Mhm.
He doesn't even know why he doesn't.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was fun talking to you about that movie because you actually had like, you knew
Yeah.
where the story was
Mhm.
kind of going.
Yeah.
But anyway,
And so number 1 by default, the best movie.
look at us. 3 times we've
Yeah.
or no, is it 4?
It's 4, yeah.
Benjamin Button,
Dragon Tattoo,
Tattoo,
Social Network.
yeah.
Wow.
Look at us,
Look
Ben.
at us.
Best friends.
And I said The Game was his like second movie he made. No, that was his third movie. This is his second movie. Goes from Alien 3, a movie he hates, doesn't like talking about, had all this studio intervention, and I think even after all that, it's still a high quality film, and then goes on to make one of the best crime thrillers ever.
Probably the best.
The best.
Yeah.
It has such a gross, wet, dirty look to it, and it was one of those early films that they decided to do color grading for the whole thing, and you could really tell at the end when they're in the desert, but it just has this like almost like a Gotham City vibe where like this isn't a real city with real people. This is a little elevated. But you have one of the greatest villains. And I'm a sucker for the 7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
I just like it.
It's a great
fun.
concept.
Yeah.
With 2 legendary actors.
Yeah.
Kind of like at their peak at that time.
Well, Brad Pitt was still early, but he was making a name for himself at that time. This was his, like, I think, big breakout role.
Mhm.
And Morgan Freeman was just like, everyone loved Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. And just say what you will, but Kevin Spacey fucking crushes this movie.
Yeah. I mean, who could have seen?
Do you remember if he got an Oscar nomination for this movie?
I don't know.
Because like you look at something like Hannibal Lecter, it's like I can understand why he won.
Mm-hmm.
But Kevin Spacey does the same thing in this movie.
100.
And if he didn't get an Oscar nomination for this, that's
a shame. Yeah.
Because they're basically on screen the same amount of time, and I would say they are equally as good.
Oh yeah.
But one's a little bit more classier than this one.
Yeah. Yeah. One's sophisticated and one is just completely off the deep end.
All the like deaths of the sins are interesting and scary. What was it? The not the sloth one. What was the zombie guy?
That was Sloth.
That was
yeah.
sloth. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I saw that made me almost piss my pants.
Yeah. That is a
Because I
scary
saw that
fucking
movie
moment.
probably before I was ready to see that movie.
Yeah.
And that shit
I
scared me.
was like a freshman in high school. Okay, my battery is getting low. We gotta kind of wrap this up pretty quick.
Okay.
7.
7. It's perfect
Absolutely
across
amazing.
the board.
I think so, people kind of shit on. I've seen people shit on it lately when Brad Pitt has his breakdown at the end and he's crying and then he pulls the gun up and then he starts crying again. I've seen people like clowning on that scene.
No.
Like, are you serious?
That scene's great.
That,
It's one of the most iconic scenes.
and that's a movie where
of the 90s.
you go like, well, what's the best scene? And it's hard to pick or like, what's the worst scene? There isn't one. There is no fat on that movie. It is very tight.
Well, the worst scene, not because it's like but the
lust.
The lust scene.
Yeah.
And it's not, you don't even like see the kill, you just know what happens, and the guy's reacting to it is so fucking realistic. Yeah. It's awful. That's the worst scene in the movie.
That it really, like, you see gluttony. You see this huge man, his stomach has burst because he's been force fed so much. You see this zombie in a bed, all these horrific things
that shouldn't be alive, but is.
You don't see even the victim's like corpse really. Like, maybe there's Polaroids and you just see that there is a body and it's bloody. You don't get any of the like horrific details except for what is explained to you, and your imagination is enough to just make your skin crawl.
Yeah, it is perfect across the board. I fucking 100%. Love the movie. And also, despite it being so bleak and awful, it's endlessly rewatchable.
Oh yeah.
Because the serial killing is like not fun, but is an interesting concept, but also your two leads are so goddamn likable.
Yes.
And they're great together, and they're back and forth, whether they agree or disagree or whatever. Yeah, and you have a reason to like Brad Pitt because of Gwyneth Paltrow's character that has a small role. You have a reason to like Morgan Freeman because he's the older guy who's on his way out. This is his final case.
Yeah, and even though he uses that cliche of I'm retiring soon, it still fucking works.
Yeah, and it's great. Just talking about it, I could watch it now. 7, one of the greatest movies ever.
Did you know they wanted to make a sequel where Morgan Freeman gets like psychic powers?
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Was it called 8?
No, I think it was something. It was his name, Mills and Detective Mills, and oh god, I feel bad. I'll remember as soon as I hit stop. But anyway, that's our ranking of the Fincher movies. What do we got next week? I said it last week. It's a pretty stacked week. It's Trolls.
When you went to the bathroom, I actually answered that question for you. So that was a fun little... But no, I'll do it now.
Okay.
It was more just to mess with you. Next week, it's Trolls band together. The next goal wins.
Yeah.
A Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
And Thanks Killing.
And Thanks Killing.
Cool. So Hunger Games will be our main topic.
Hunger Games will probably be the one.
I'll see Thanks Killing. I don't care about anything
Thanksgiving.
else.
It's not called Thanksgiving.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Thanks Killing is a killer turkey.
Yeah. Because we're not watching Trolls.
No.
And
next goal wins.
If I heard great things about it, I'd be like, oh, sure, let's go see that.
I've heard early things and it's bad. I only get 2 days off a week, and it's hard to do 2 movies in a theater in one day, so my max is generally around 2 on a weekend. Okay, well, if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. What are your David Fincher rankings? Hit us up. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Good night. Or keep consuming. Damn it! Ah! You think of fresh-faced young boys